What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Busy Sticks, and what a special week it is, because you're not getting just one episode. You're getting 2 episodes of Busy Sticks here on the Geekiverse. If you like video games, you are in the right place, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Also, thank you if you are tuning in to the live chat at twitch.tv/thegeekiverse. We had some technical difficulties last week, but you know what? Fun is always the name of the game at the Geekiverse, and that is exactly what we had. So I'm Josiah Leroy. With me, my right-hand man, Mr. Disruptoid, Mr. Baba Yaga, John Fick. John, we're not only talking video games today. I mentioned this already. We're talking twice this week. This is arguably the bigger of the two shows, right?
I would assume so. Oh, yeah, my first question is, I'm doing this twice. Am I getting paid twice this week? Is my check going to be doubled?
Yes.
Got it.
But you get paid in the equivalent of Shroot Bucks, which I've been told is Leroy Loonies.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. It's probably the newest cryptocurrency, but I'm interested to see where it goes.
However that converts to USD, let me know, and we'll figure that out.
It sounds good to me. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Later this week, we are talking with Greg Miller, Kind of Funny Games. You know him. He's the coolest guy in gaming. He just always has been. One of our biggest inspirations. We're going to be chatting with him. Our live episode. It'll be a milestone episode, John. Our 10th. I just looked it up.
Is that true? Yeah, it's cool.
Greg Miller will be on the 10th episode of Busy Sticks.
That's awesome. We'll throw a party for that. I'll wear a party hat, all sorts of stuff. And it's just it's crazy that they're like, I finally saw it in writing on Kind of Funny Content. So they put out a schedule for patrons every week. And yesterday, Monday, they do their weekly schedule. And just to see Friday, Greg podcasting with community, I'm like, that's me. I'm community. That's us. We're going to be there. It's just super cool to like finally see that, somewhere other than my inbox.
Oh man, it's super exciting. Can't wait to do it. You can tune in and watch the show this Friday. It's going to be twitch.tv/Kind
of Funny Games. You got it. Yep.
And 8 o'clock Eastern time. So hopefully you join us for that. If not, you'll be able to listen to the podcast wherever you download podcasts or watch it in review at youtube.com/thegeekiverse. Today we've got a lot going on. Last week we had the bombshell of Microsoft buying Activision. Today we've got some smaller bits, but they're juicy. They're really, really pertinent to what we like to talk about.
For sure. And we almost weren't going to do an episode, like a separate episode this week. It's like, we got Greg coming. We usually record early in the week, but this one's late week, so we're like, you know what? It'll be our weekly episode. But then we're like, well, first of all, we have to test our tech issues because that could be a problem. And second of all, there's a lot of news to talk about, so let's do it. Let's sit down. Let's have a chat. It's going to be a fun one.
It is going to be a fun one, and we always enjoy talking video games. John and I have a great time doing this, so to get into an extra episode is a pleasure for us. Hopefully you feel the same. So we've got Lego Star Wars finally getting a release date. We've got 3 games in development at Respawn, all Star Wars based. Pretty crazy. Also, we've got some new details on Blizzard's newest project, and we'll have a little fun with our year in review on PlayStation. But ladies and gentlemen, video games are not the only thing at the Geekiverse that we love. We also love us some beer, a little bit of a brewski, if you will. So what's about to be in our system here? John, I'm going to jump in first, only because I know it's my week for show and tell. We'll split it up a little bit. I bought this when I was with you, my friends, one of our favorites in Western New York. So we've got the can right here. For the viewers at home, a little bit tough to see. But that is Other Half's Double Citra Daydream Double Dry Hopped Imperial Oat Cream IPA.
Ooh, it's a mouthful.
8.5%. That's a mouthful. I could never say that without reading it off the can. This is a really good blend of everything I just mentioned there. If you like a hazy IPA with just a little bit of sweetness, this is the way to go. I don't think I've ever had anything from Over Half that I've thought was less than stellar. Right. So this continues the streak there. Gotta
awesome.
say. Yeah, very much enjoying that. John, what do we got from you?
Josiah, if I were to ask you, what's the best deal in gaming? Easy answer. What's the answer?
PlayStation. I'm just kidding. Xbox Game Pass.
It's just, you don't even have to think about it, right? Best deal in gaming, Xbox Game Pass. Best deal in craft beer in the Western New York area is a case of this bad boy. This is the Fiddlehead IPA. I think that I have brought over the Second Fiddle, and also probably had it on this show, Second Fiddle, which is their double IPA, also very good. Vermont-based brewery, but the regular Fiddlehead IPA comes in a case of a 12-pack case, and it's like $17. And when it comes to craft beer, It's the best bang for your buck. I love this IPA so much. That's usually what I stock my fridge with, along with a couple extra, fun things, new things. But this is for sure the go-to when it comes to bang for your buck value. It's sort of a West Coast style IPA, like a lot of the stuff that comes out of Vermont. But man, you go to Consumers, Premier Gourmet, you want something to stock the fridge. That's going to be a really, really good beer, not just like a Southern Tier IPA, which is decent, stuff like that. A really, really good beer that's going to fill your fridge up. This is the one.
John, I want to say a few years back they were at Consumers, like sitting and one of the ones on Niagara Falls Boulevard to like showcase, and say, hey, you want to try a sample, whatnot. And I ended up buying a case of that, and I was like, this is really good.
It's
and
awesome.
I have not had it since, so I've got to circle back to it. But I'm happy. I was like, they look so familiar.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
So,
all
right, man.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Pikachu. I had a casualty yesterday. My other Pokemon glass broke. I had two glass, and there was the cooler one too. It was actually a glass that I had broken before and repurchased, much like yourself. But I couldn't just go to the website. I had to purchase it secondhand. It was the Pokemon glass. It kind of looked like this, a bunch of little logos, but they were all the original 152 Pokemon. Every single one of them, like in their original sprite artwork, super, super cool. And I'd broken it before. I bought it when it first came out, and I tracked it down secondhand and bought it off somebody. Wasn't too bad of a secondhand price. So I wasn't worried about it, but I broke it again yesterday. Knocked my phone over, and it cracked the edge of it. Brutal.
It's just short of tragic. One of two people I'm pretty sure were at your house. It was either Lauren, who breaks every glass known to man, or it was a frisbee throwing Tim Talbot. I don't know. It had to be one of the two. So I think you were sabotaged, my friend. You got to change those locks.
I'll have to check the footage.
My money is on equal grounds there for both. Show and tell. I kind of mentioned this last time we were together, and nothing crazy, but I got to say, I really love this thing. I was well overdue to get a second DualSense, and I pre-ordered this as soon as it was available right from PlayStation Direct. But if you're watching, I've got the Galactic Purple PS5 DualSense right there. It's coming through a little bit blue on the screen there.
I was just going to say, that looks very, very royal blue, so I really want to see that in person.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough with my light right there, but this thing, it's your typical DualSense, which is a phenomenal controller. It's so nice to have a brand new one. I'd never realize every time I get a new controller how the thumbsticks
wear
feel.
down.
Like
right.
It's insane how textured they are in most cases, and I just take that for granted. So man, I think I'm gonna get like a new control every year just to kind of keep things fresh.
Yeah.
One thing that you showed me that I had no idea about a few months back, you took a really nice in detail picture on your iPhone that showed, ladies and gentlemen, if you have the PS5 controller and you're holding it and it feels like it's got that little bit of textured grip on the left and right, you look at it really closely. It's very hard to see with the human eye, unless you have pretty good vision. But it is the 4 letters, basically over and over again, of the faceplate controller. So you got the circle, X, square, and triangle. And that's a fun little Easter egg that I tell everybody I know about that games. And no one so far has realized that. And I love that little thing.
Do you know that it's also in the inside of the panels as well? So on your PlayStation, you know how the panels go up a little bit above the black part, kind of looks like a little V. The entire inside of those panels is also the same texture.
Dude,
it's so cool.
It's so next level. Like, it's to the point where I on some of my Xbox controls, I've been like this now. I'm like, did they do it too?
Did they do something?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I don't think so. But that is pretty freaking awesome. So enjoying my new DualSense there. Can't have too many of those laying around. You never know.
You brought up Xbox controllers. Have you had any issues with your Series X controller or controllers as of yet?
No, I have not. I've played more PS5 than Xbox Series X in the first year here. In the past, so the Xbox One, like really native controllers, I've had the triggers stick every once in a while.
Okay.
I feel like I grip them too much, but I've not knock had any issues with my Series X yet.
This is my 3rd controller, and I have this issue with all of them. And so it's when I pull the trigger down, it catches on the sidewall. So it catches, and you can hear that click right there.
Yeah.
I'm just put. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
pulling. So if you just go straight down with it, it's not going to happen. But if you have any kind of a pull to it, like pulling it towards the sidewall, which just happens naturally from gripping, I'm not doing it on purpose. But I'll be playing Halo, and I'll take a couple shots, everything's fine, and then it gets intense, and I just grip a little bit, and it just grabs the sidewall and clicks like crazy. Some are worse than others. My original black one that I got from it, it's like almost every time I pull that trigger, it grabs the sidewall. Then I actually got that controller replaced with another black one because it had that issue, and the left trigger started doing it. And I'm like, what is going on? I get this one, same thing. So I just keep catching the sidewall. I don't know if it's just the way that I'm gripping this thing. I've been playing Xbox since 2001. I've had Xbox controllers. This is not really that different than the Xbox One controller, and I never had that issue with that. So I just wonder what they changed in the plastic and why I keep getting that to catch on the way down. And it's just, it's been frustrating.
That's so weird. I wonder if that is more common. I from the listeners, visit us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Love to hear if you're having a similar issue, if you've got a Series X or S.
This is an Xbox One controller. This is the Titanfall version. Obviously, this came out when Titanfall came out. What is that, 2014? Forever ago?
Yes.
This thing's 8 years old. I can't get that issue to happen. I can't pull hard enough to make this thing catch on the side. So there's definitely a design difference with the way those triggers are set. Minor frustration. It's not the end of the world, but we're talking controllers.
That's annoying.
Airing some grievances.
I know what you need, John. You need that Elite Pro 2.
You think so?
Halo series.
I have the.
That's what I need. I want it so bad.
If we're gonna just keep whipping controllers out, I have the first gen Elite controller. I liked it for a while until I picked back up a regular Xbox One controller back in the day, and I'm like, you know what? The heft feels super cool when you first do it, and it feels premium, and it is. It's a great controller, but I prefer the lightweight controller. I prefer the plastic. I have not used this in forever. It's a Series 1, so obviously it's not as cool as the new one. But yeah, the heft, it just I don't know what it is. The lighter version just feels better. So I've kind of swapped mine out, and I haven't been interested in the new Elite controllers just because I know that I like that the lightness.
Yeah, that's fair. I've played with an Elite here and there. I don't own one. I've just kind of used a friend's from time to time, and I enjoy it. But there's something about the beauty of that Halo one where I can't.
Oh, it's so good.
I can't not when that gets back in stock. I got to pounce on it.
I'm still on the hunt for you, and I went to my GameStop. I didn't tell you this. I usually just go into that GameStop and just check the back shelf and see if they have one sitting there and do a little walk around. I actually asked the guy. I'm like, have you guys gotten the second wave of the the Halo Elite controllers? He goes, our store never got one. He's like, the only person that I know who has one is my boss, and he got it online from somebody else. Our store didn't even get a shipment of them. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's crazy.
That is crazy. I expect that to catch up at some point. Like every other controller that was somewhat coveted was back in stock or had different waves, whether it was the Forza controller or the 20th anniversary one, which was hard to find at first.
I saw that today, actually.
You can get that for sure. I pounced on it in one of the early waves in December, but yeah, interesting to see how it play out. And that's part of the game, right? Some of the demand here. All right. We know what we're drinking. We know what's in our system from a liquid standpoint. How about in our consoles? What are we playing, John? We talked about cleaning up our gaming palette, our schedule here before some of our most anticipated games of 2022 come out. So what have you been playing to hold your time over?
Yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you, but I am still kind of stuck in that paralysis from I know that some of the coolest games that I'm going to play in a while are coming up soon. Pokemon Arceus is coming out Friday. That game leaked and is getting awesome reviews by the people who have their hands on it. It looks like it's fulfilling on some of the promises that I was actually kind of doubtful that it would. So excited to play that game. Horizon is so close. They just dropped a new certain outlets got some hands-on time with it. So I was watching IGN, Jonathan Dornbush, he was playing and talking about it. I'm like, that game is so close. I just don't want to get involved in anything else because I'm just so fixated on those. That's what I want to play. I want to play the new stuff. So I just been keeping up with my Mario grind, playing some Bowser's Fury, chipping away at some of the cat shines, and also going back to Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. I never finished that game. I got to a point where I was just shiny hunting the legendary, never actually finished it. I'm like, oh, okay, Arceus is coming out Friday. Might as well also pop that back in. So just alternating between Pokemon and Mario on the Switch. That's really it.
I'm doing a lot of the same. So this past weekend, Daisy and I were kind of hanging out. Lauren was at work. So the games I wanted to play were really not appropriate to play around her. So I was like, what's in my backlog here? What's a shorter game that I can kind of jump into and not really have it weigh on my mind if I don't finish it? So I bought it 3 or 4 years ago, but it wasn't even out. Must have been 3. Unravel 2, which I enjoyed the first one. It's a fun little game. It had some nice emotional elements to it in the story that it was telling. So I played that game almost exactly 5 years ago, and I went on this shopping spree of smaller titles, maybe in early 2018 or 19, including Cuphead, and games that I haven't really taken the dive into. So this one I did. It's a short 5-6 hour game. It's got 7 chapters. I beat the first 2. Nothing crazy to write home about, but a little bit different dynamic than the first one so far.
Cool. Speaking of that little binge you went on, I feel like I remember you buying Celeste during that time too. Did you play Celeste?
I did not buy Celeste.
Oh, okay.
I want to say, if it's not in Game Pass, it was an Xbox Games with Gold.
Okay.
So I have it in my library.
You haven't played it though.
No, I've not played it, and it's funny because I was looking at the games in my library and looking at trailers to see what I wanted to, and that was in the running. Man, and I know you really enjoyed it.
If you get that hankering again to try something new or try something small, I just can't recommend Celeste enough. A streamer that I watched had just fired it up for their first time, and I'm like, man, I forget how much of an impact this game had on me. The soundtrack, the gameplay, like it's such a cool game. I think you would dig it a lot.
And I take that recommendation to heart because the track record we have here.
Right.
Let me ask you this: do you consider it a difficult game?
Yes, but that's kind of the point, but not like from a Dark Souls sense. It's just repetition. The game tells you like that's kind of the message of the game. There's this underlying theme of, not even underlying, kind of hits you in the face with it in certain points, but like there's this theme of mental health and how you can do this. I think that one of the first things that you get a little pop-up that says, you can do this, breathe. And the game is just really relaxing, but some of the gameplay is a little bit fast paced. So there's this really cool dichotomy there where it's like a very relaxed environment, but you got to do some pretty crazy platforming. You get used to it so quickly and you learn by trial and error. The hook of that game is that when you die, you instantly respawn. You just pop back up at the beginning of that little section of the platforming level. You're supposed to die a bunch of times. There's a little death counter when you press start. Like that's part of the game. It's not something where you're going to rip your hair out and say, I don't want to play this anymore. It's something where it's going to be like, I was so close. If I would have just jumped up there, I would have gotten it. Like that's the kind of difficulty it is. And I think that you would really dig the hook on this one.
Yeah, I'm into that. That's definitely going to be played at some point. That's in the backlog. I appreciate the insight. Speed of hard games. I did take the dive into something this weekend.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What is it? I got nothing.
Cuphead.
Oh, no, you did. Why didn't you tell me? You saved it for content. You son of...
Okay, here's the thing. I played, I don't know, 45 minutes. I've made no progress. So when I go to pick this game up and we play, it's going to be like the first time.
Okay, fair enough.
Man, so...
So just to backtrack, Celeste is not like that. Celeste is not difficulty because it wants you to pull your hair out. It's not like that. Cuphead, like they're trying to punish you. Like, yeah, everything's cute, but we want you to be mad.
It's so beautiful, by the way. Like it looks so good. Got it on the Xbox Series X here. Got it HDR, the OLED TV. I'm like, oh, this is just gorgeous.
So pretty.
So I play through and I mean, my gosh, the cliche, right? I died so many times, but I learned a lot. Like,
right.
It's basically like you keep chipping away. You get more. And I have no idea how close I am to the end of the first level, but
so are you doing the first? Are you doing the first platforming level? You're not fighting a boss right now. You're doing the run and gun, right?
I opted for the run and gun.
Got it. Okay. They're two. That's what's kind of cool about that game is that they're just two very different kind of difficulties. Like they're built into the same game. They have these run and gun platforming-esque levels where you've got to just get to the end and not, and survive an onslaught of just, never ending, it seeming like people. But then these boss fights are kind of the next level too. It's fun, man. It's fun. We got Tank Newton in the chat saying he definitely pulled his hair out a few times in Celeste. That's fair, but the game's not designed to make you feel that way. It can happen for sure. You hit the wrong button a few times, you do the wrong thing, you can get mad at it, but it's not Cuphead, and when it comes to anger inducing.
It's funny. I made so the background here, if you aren't aware, Cuphead's been a joke in the Geekiverse for a while that I need to play this, but we want to stream me playing it because I'm going to lose my mind, and it'll be funny. I made a conscious effort, a decision here as I went into it on Sunday. I was like, I am not going to get frustrated. I'm just going to laugh. Like, the point of this game is to die over and over. I'm eventually going to get there. I'm not good at video games when it comes to challenging video games. I'm just not. Let's face it. So, and I did pretty good. Only one time did I really want to let an F-bomb fly. And we'll see. I'm on the first level. This is probably the easiest it's going to be throughout the whole game, right?
Honestly, not even. I would say the difficulty is pretty flat throughout until maybe just the last 2 boss battles. It's not a game where like the difficulty ramps up like a spike like that. And to your experience, I played this game back when it first came out on the Xbox. I remember sitting on my couch with my buddy Trevor, and him and I just passing the controller back and forth, playing that very first run and gun level for 3 hours, and we couldn't beat it. But then fast forward 3-4 years later, I sit down and I play the game, I commit to it again, and for some reason it just clicks for me. And I was just, I could just things that seemed like crazy obstacles last time I tried to do this, kind of like played the game, just clicked in a way that made sense, and that was just like, oh, this is just like a pattern. Everything has patterns, right? So it's a weird game where it just randomly will click.
I wanted to wait so bad to stream it, but I just seen the Cuphead trailer for Netflix, and then just kind of like having this holdover. I was like, I gotta start it. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So I did. And the other thing I wanted to say was, prior to that, I wanted to go back in time a little bit. So I Googled simply, is Cuphead difficult? And the articles that come up are hysterical because they're all from when the game launched in October 2017. I don't remember knowing much about the game prior to it coming out, John, that it was going to be a difficult game. And like there was a Forbes article and all this stuff on them being like, we didn't like purposely make it a difficult game, but then we kind of just essentially got there. I'm paraphrasing what they said, but I thought it was really interesting, especially in this day and age when we think of like the Soulsborne games and the challenge that comes with those. That this was not, to me, advertised as like, this is going to be a really difficult game. This just looked like a pretty old school platformer.
Interesting. I remember the coverage being a little bit more focused on the difficulty of the game. Maybe it was just the outlets that I was following back then, and I was very interested in the game. So I remember it being like, yo, these are some like, this is tough. These are tough boss battles. So I don't know. Courtney in chat says, I feel like you talking about Cuphead as me playing Mario. I'm like, sounds about right.
Watch her be awesome at Cuphead. I believe it.
I can confirm she is not. She has tried a few levels. I can confirm.
Courtney, I'm sorry. I tried to get one in your corner there. Maybe next time. One other thing. I can't believe of all the things that I'm playing, that's what we spend a lot of time on. John.
Yeah.
You know this. I finished Life is Strange.
Oh, yes. You finished it. I didn't know you finished it, did I? Wait, you sent me the platinum. Yeah, you did send me the screenshot.
Sent you the platinum. Man. I feel like we should record, we're not going to make this a 3-episode week, but maybe next week we do like a plus episode here, a bonus, and we talk, because I want to talk about Life is Strange spoiler free. I want to just go deep into it. I want to talk about the decisions you made versus what I made.
Right.
At the end of the game, you get to see, or every chapter, what choices your friends made. And you and I had some very different outcomes. In terms of
interesting. When I played, I had nobody on my friends list that had played the game, so I didn't have any of that. All I saw was like the global stats.
I think you're it. So at the, if I'm not mistaken, once you beat the game, it unlocks that. I saw the global stats every chapter, but then it was like, here's what your friends did.
Oh man!
And you and I had a lot of different choices, and it's funny because you end up in the same spot, really. But I would love to talk through the mindset on them because I think it's really fascinating. And this is a game. Ironically, it's called True Colors. There's no gray area. There is a lot of gray area, excuse me. So the twist, I don't want to say that I saw it coming. I'm not gonna talk about it. If you haven't played Life is Strange, go play Life is Strange True Colors. It's a very short game. I've never in such a short period of time become so enamored with story-based characters as I have with Life is Strange here. And I was not a fan of the previous games. As John said last week, just separate yourself. This is a totally different Life is Strange. This is essentially a game on its own that you can go into with no expectations and just enjoy.
Right.
And what a beautiful story, what a beautiful setting, these characters, the writing, it's awesome, dude.
It's so good.
I back your sentiment that it's game of the year. As I said, I probably still would have had Halo in front of it. But still, dude, it's easily my top 2 or 3 for 2021.
Awesome.
What a game.
I'm glad you're digging it, man. And you say that. You say like you've never clicked with characters so quickly in that game, and I totally agree. Alex Chen, all the supporting cast is awesome. But for me, the best character in that game is the town of Haven. Haven is so awesome, and it is a character, man. It's so much as a character.
Doesn't it for just a split second make you want to live in a community like that?
Oh, for sure. It's like the coolest thing ever because I played that game and not even, I don't know, 2 weeks, a week and a half later, I went to Vermont, and there's this city in Vermont, Stowe, Vermont. Very, very similar vibes to the fictional Haven, Colorado. Very, very similar. Like we walked into this one little antique shop that was selling local art and stuff like that, just along this little main street strip, and they were playing music, and I'm like, I'm in Haven right now. This is crazy. Like there's awesome little coffee shops over there, and those people probably lived here their whole lives and are like best friends and stuff like that. Like it had the exact perfect vibes for it. So the places do exist. It's just you're not going to find them in Western New York.
No, definitely not. I'm sorry, you said Vermont?
Yeah.
That was?
Yep. Yeah,
that's totally where Lauren and I are going.
Yes.
Eventually.
Yeah, so we stayed in Burlington, which is a little bit more of like I would say like an urban city. There's a lot more to do. It's like the college town. The University of Vermont, I think, is there, or Burlington, one of the two. But so a lot going on there. Really cool waterfront. But just like a 40-minute drive is Stowe, and Stowe is like this ski country, kind of like Ellicottville, but just really small town vibes. Some of the best beer you're gonna find in this country. Just so cool.
Yeah, you had me at the best beer. I mean, damn. Yeah, so Lauren and I have this thing. It's a bucket list item to see all 50 states. And this year we made some pretty good progress. I think we saw 6 states. So we're right around 15 or 16 so far. And we basically, the rule of thumb is we got to go together. We got to do something in that state. So we got to go to an event. We got to stay overnight, something. In that, I can't believe in a way that we haven't been to Vermont yet, especially with the way you've talked about it. But that's going to be on the short list coming up for sure.
Yeah, when you guys plan that trip, hit me up because I got a lot of recommendations. All beer related, so don't worry about that.
You know I will. As my beer advisor, I absolutely will. We'll keep that going. Again, thank you so much if you're joining us on twitch.tv/the Geekiverse, or if you're listening on podcast services around the globe, watching at youtube.com/the Geekiverse, or simply just joining our conversation on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We appreciate you. Next for me in video games, it's a few days away. I've been wanting to start Resident Evil Village, but I'm not going to do it because I had a short window here between Life is Strange and Uncharted: The Legacy of Thieves collection. So that's going to be my next game that I dive into. Can't wait to enjoy those adventures again.
Yeah, I'm on the fence on what I want to do there because we can upgrade for $10 because we own and I own the Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, so that's an easy buy right there. But I just don't know if that's something I want to dive into with Pokemon Arceus right there. We'll see. Maybe I split my time up. I don't know. I mean that's a Switch game with Pokemon, so maybe I just need a console game to to hold me over when I'm on the couch. We'll see.
I'm just so overdue for an Uncharted experience. I can't wait to get that big movie experience. And by the way, see an Uncharted movie in about 4 weeks' time. So that's going to be super exciting. Last week, we asked you the question of the week. And that was, hey, Microsoft bought Activision. Are you kidding me? Hypothetically, what studio should Sony counter with? And I think we got some good responses. I've got a few kind of pulled up on social media. John, did you have any to share at all?
Most of the ones I was looking at were the ones that you kind of gathered there. So on my end, no, but I can give you my answer to the question if you like.
Let's do that. Let's lead it off.
I mean, how is it anybody but From Software? That is just the ultimate. I mean, I know they're owned by a parent company, so they're not their own company, so they'd have to work on a deal to for that company to sell From Software to Sony. So that would be probably very unlikely. All of this is unlikely. Sony doesn't have the kind of money that Microsoft does to go around and buy $70 billion publishing studios. But man, if they could just snatch From Software and get all of those games, I mean, you talk about like the AAA developer that is the hardcore gamer golden boy right now. It's From Software. The hardcore gamers can't get enough of these nerdy From Software games. They're nuts. So to me, that would just be such a huge win for Sony, and it would make a lot of Xbox fans mad. Which again, it's not about that. It's not a war. It's hypothetical. Trying to have fun.
It is such a. It's so funny. Like, I associate them with PlayStation already. Like, I would bet you if you asked, no disrespect, but ask some casual fans if they were exclusive to Sony, a lot of people would just say yes, because some of their titles have been.
Right.
So it's not far fetched at all. I think that's a really good answer.
Yeah, I mean, so you got Tank in the chat. Tank Newton says From Software doesn't want to do Bloodborne again. PlayStation owns the IP. That's the most requested title, and they will just have Bluepoint do it. I mean, that's fair, but if this is just like a hypothetical, what would be, you know, what would be the most OP, and, you know, what would add the most to Sony's lineup? And I think it would be From Software, regardless of that kind of stuff, you know, logistics and negotiations and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of moving factors here, so to speak. From the chat we threw online, Square Enix. I think that's an interesting one. Saw that come across from Mike. There's another really good one that I had in here. Hang on, almost there.
I got a live one here from Mike. Mike would say that they corner EA and make every future Star Wars title exclusive. That would be quite the negotiation there. I mean, they've already kind of done something like that in with Spider-Man. They've got a pretty valuable IP. That's something that maybe a few years ago you would have said, like, oh wait, a Spider-Man game is going to be exclusive to Sony, like a PlayStation. Why? You know, Spider-Man's Marvel. Why wouldn't they put that everywhere? But to have Spider-Man and Star Wars, to do that again, crazy. Josh Gav says Valve. They don't make games, dude. We're talking about people that actually make games.
I really appreciate that thought, Tank. I think that's very interesting. I think the only caveat, though, is the loophole that Lucasfilm Games created with saying, "Hey, yeah, EA, you're making games, but we're now pivoting and also gonna, you know, expand the license out to whoever we want because we're done with you in terms of exclusivity, EA." So they could theoretically make an exclusive Star Wars game, but the Star Wars license wouldn't be exclusive to PlayStation, in my opinion. Someone also did mention on Facebook, Churd, he says someone is bound to buy Electronic Arts sooner or later. But I think the cheaper pick would be Sega.
Yeah.
How much does that move the needle? I don't know.
I don't think it does, unfortunately.
And EA with Madden and NHL, I guess, and FIFA above NHL, I would say that's like kind of Call of Duty-esque. Those games are frequently in the top 10.
Right. I would say that's on par with an Activision right there. When you talk about those big blockbuster AAA games that are multi-platform, you walk into a Walmart, the first 3 games you're seeing are Madden, Call of Duty, and FIFA probably, or maybe 2K if you live in the States. Like those are, you know, top dog. So yeah, EA locking them up would be crazy, and there wouldn't be a conversation like we're having here with Microsoft about will they make those games exclusive. Sony would. PlayStation buys somebody, they're making those games exclusive. They're not here to share. They want people buying PlayStations.
Madden and FIFA only on PlayStation.
Yeah,
people lose their minds.
Absolutely. I mean, that would be they would be so deep. You know, it would almost be something that it's not even worth it because they would want to make those games exclusive, but it wouldn't even be worth the bad press. It wouldn't be. You would just be digging yourself a grave.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I mean, I think that they would still lose out on that by not making that a multi-platform title.
Oh,
because
just like Microsoft and, you know, Call of Duty. Right. We've had that conversation before. But yeah, exactly. I think that's why Sony wouldn't even think about going for EA, because they're looking for stuff to pad the PlayStation library. They're not in the same situation Microsoft is. Microsoft very clearly is in the publishing game, and not just in the publishing game for Xbox anymore. They are all in on PC. They have been for years. Obviously, they own Windows, and that's where you're playing your PC games. But they're open. Minecraft is on the Switch and is on PlayStation. I do not think we talked about this at length. I don't think Call of Duty is going anywhere from PlayStation. Like, they're in the publishing game. You're going to see Bethesda games on PlayStation. The first game that Bethesda put out under Microsoft's umbrella was exclusive to PlayStation. How does that make sense? That's, you know, but like they're playing 2 different games. If Sony's going out there to buy a studio or to purchase an IP or something like that, they're doing it to stack the lineup for the PlayStation, to add more games that you could only play on that box.
I don't think we've got anything to worry about in terms of a lot of exclusivity. I did very quickly read a report before we jumped on tonight, and I don't want to get into it too much because I can't cite it, but that the next 3 Call of Duty games will be at multi-platform. And we'll circle back to it, but after that, it's anyone's guess. Again, we've talked about this at length. Can't imagine that those become exclusive because that is just not, it doesn't make any fiscal sense to do so. But it is a fascinating discussion nonetheless. My answer to this question, what studio should Sony counter with? My pie in the sky answer that if you asked me 2 weeks ago if a hypothetical happened where Activision would be under the Xbox Game Studios banner, I would say, okay, that's ridiculous. But here we are. So I don't think anything's crazy. Take-Two Interactive to Sony would be my guess. That would be, oh my gosh. You get an exclusive Red Dead Redemption, an exclusive GTA. Talk about people losing their minds and also not making fiscal sense because GTA is just a monster that you need to play on any console or PC at this point.
Right.
It's bonkers.
That'd be crazy. I mean, lock that up, but then you're talking about taking some very, very big, high profile AAA games away from other platforms. But that's the way it would be. That's the way Sony would do it. I don't think they can afford Take-Two though. Again, this is all hypothetical. Just worth noting that Take-Two is such a big company. Sony does not have Microsoft money.
Agreed. They do not have Microsoft money. We'd have to see what it looks like, and there'd have to be some deal. There were some fancy maneuverings with the stock on the Activision deal, but for what it's worth, Sony is worth about $5 billion in assets. No, Sony is worth $79 billion in assets. Take-Two Interactive is worth about $5 billion.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily mean they could just, we have way more money, we can buy you.
Right.
It's not how it works. There's some caveats, but they are exponentially bigger as a company. Granted, as we said, they don't have Microsoft money, but I did just look that up in a nutshell to say, would this be possible? And it would. There'd have to be some fancy maneuvering there, but can you imagine if something like that went down?
I couldn't. It'd be insane.
We'll see what happens because Sony's got to do something, right?
Did you see so someone made, oh man, I wish I could cite this, but I just want to talk about it in a roundabout way. Someone put together a chart of all of these gaming companies and what their value is. And so not counting Sony as a company, but just counting PlayStation as a brand. And not counting Xbox, or not counting Microsoft, but counting Xbox. I think number 1 was like EA. No, number 1 is PlayStation. Number 2, I think, is EA. 3 is Nintendo. And then I think it was like Take-Two, and then it was Xbox, and then Activision was a few down the line. And then with the acquisition of Activision, that only bumped Xbox up to 3. It's just crazy. It's crazy the market cap that PlayStation has. We think about these companies in terms of companies, and of course Microsoft's everywhere. You turn left or right, you're going to see a Windows logo and a Microsoft product, but PlayStation really, really dominates the gaming space when it comes to the consoles, especially after last generation.
It is crazy to think because you'd also think it's a lot closer than that. But hey, this is good for us, right?
Oh yeah, especially if we're fortunate enough to have both boxes, man. Or even if you're just fortunate enough to have a PlayStation and play those Xbox games on PC, killer.
You said it last week. There's no shortage of options when it comes to looking for stuff to play nowadays. So if you own anything, you're lucky. If you own 2 systems, wow. I think so. As I mentioned to you, I was looking for games to play in my Xbox library. I have like 647 games across Games with Gold, my own purchase games, and Game Pass. That's insane.
That is nuts.
I'd love to calculate, like, if I were to literally play all of those, how old would I be by the time I was done? Assuming I still work, 40 hours a week. Just crazy. No shortage of options these days. I think probably getting to the news here. Some good discussion so far. Lots of topics to get to, but man, when you talk about video games, we the Geekiverse are super excited. When you happen to blend Star Wars with video games, that's our apex, man. That's the top of the top. It's what we were made for.
Wow.
So we've got a lot of that here to talk about
apex,
this week.
Nice one. Nice accidental pun there.
Thank you. Was it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was.
So, let's see here. Let's kick it off today. We got news from a press release from Electronic Arts and Lucasfilm Games. 3 new Star Wars games in development, all from Respawn.
Sorta.
In my head,
the strategy game is being produced by Respawn in partnership with another development that's overseeing the development. It's in the press release, but they're not actually developing that strategy game.
without knowing anything else, John, do you have any interest in that game?
No, I didn't have interest in it before I even knew that. Just I don't know. I mean, like, of course you can put out something fun and get me excited, but just I know strategy games aren't my thing. And I think it's the team that what's the big strategy game? What's the one? XCOM.
XCOM.
I think it's in partnership with either that development team or people who used to work for that team. People who are good in that franchise are working on this game with Respawn.
So, real quick pivot. What's the Marvel game that's supposed to be XCOM like that's coming out soon? It's in development.
Didn't even know it was a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, for guys like us who are not traditionally into those games, despite how much we love a Marvel IP or Star Wars, like just doesn't even register on my radar. I hate to say.
No, I mean, like look at like a Gears Tactics. I play every Gears of War game that gets announced. I'm like, I'm good. Halo Wars doesn't move. I never played a second of that game, 1 or 2. Just not for me.
You know what's unfortunate is I played Halo Wars 2 and I got an achievement. So it's on my played list.
Oh, I'm like, why is that unfortunate? You're one of those people.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I don't want it on there. I look like an idiot. No. Don't comment on that. All right. So from IGN, in terms of EA and Respawn and Star Wars, EA is far from finished with the Star Wars universe. The publisher is working on 3 new Star Wars games, all of which are being overseen in one form or another by developer Respawn Entertainment of Titanfall fame. The games comprise a sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, an FPS, and a strategy game. No release dates have been offered for any of the new games. So, John, we knew about Jedi Fallen Order for a while. They've come out and said it, that they're working on a sequel to that game. Today, they've talked about it in like investor calls. Today, they actually put it, though, to the press in a release. So we know that's coming. We're super excited about that. Before I move on to the other stuff, from your point of view, you and I both enjoyed Jedi Fallen Order. It's one of the games I played last year for PS5 when they re-released it. We both played it on Xbox when that came out in 2019. Had a good time. Do you want this to be a direct sequel in the way that this continues the story of Cal Kestis and his crew? Or do you want to see a totally new era? Whether that's the sequel trilogy or something in between that is Jedi based and is of course about a fallen order, but maybe features a different Jedi or Force user in here. Like, what do you think?
That is something I hadn't thought of. Honestly, sign me up for either, and I think you pitch me either game, and I'm equally excited. But I think the potential to do something different and to follow a new Jedi, and for a new reason. I mean, you're talking Fallen Orders. You got plenty of options. You got 3 different regimes you can go through to do that. So, I think I don't have a preference either way. It's Respawn. They made that game. If the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, whatever it is, it might be my 1 or 2 most anticipated game that I know nothing about. I want that game right now. I want to play more in that world, in that engine, with that gameplay that Respawn has given us. But yeah, whether it's something new or whether it's a continuation of Cal's story, I don't know.
I was so excited to not only get Jedi Fallen Order, but to have it be a good game. It was Geekiverse's Game of the Year that year. Obviously, we're Star Wars fans all through and through, so there was a little of that in there. But it is a good quality game, and I cannot wait to see what Respawn does with a sequel there. I almost wonder, like, this is not a fair comparison, but when this news broke today, I was thinking to myself, okay, Respawn developed Jedi Fallen Order. They're now working on parts of 3 more Star Wars games. So I think we've got, confirmed 7 or 8 Star Wars games in development across all these different developers, whether it's Ubisoft. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank, but it doesn't matter.
Amy Hennig's game, that's a big one.
Yes, Amy Hennig. So when you think about Insomniac, and we joke about like how they're pulling a lot of the weight for Sony right now, in terms of they released Miles Morales. They're working on Spider-Man 2, which is probably relatively close to coming out, I'd say in the next year, 2 years. And we also got Wolverine.
Yeah.
when do these guys have time to sleep? So what they are to Marvel is a little bit of what I'm seeing with Respawn to Star Wars here. Even though we've got a lot of big name publishers and developers working on exciting projects there, we have Respawn, renowned for Titanfall, for Apex Legends. They're working on 3 titles. They're really going into overdrive here. We don't have anything rumored from DICE or any of the other EA studios at this point. Like, kind of a crazy comparison, but something worthwhile.
I was gonna draw the same comparison. It feels like Disney has found their golden boys. I can't believe I just used that phrase twice in the same episode. They've found their cash cows. Let's use that when it comes to their 2 most valuable IP. That's probably not true, but the two IPs that I care the most about, and maybe the two that are most relevant in pop culture right now. I mean, like you give Insomniac that Spider-Man game, and you look at what they do with it, and you give Respawn that Jedi game, which they had to fight for. Disney is not very keen on letting people use Jedi. That game was supposed to be about a bounty hunter game. They had to come back with a pitch to prove why they could work with the Jedi, and to see what they did with that. Like, I think it's just going to be full steam ahead with those 2 studios just representing the Disney brand and those two franchises.
Hey, that's pretty good job security for both of them, if nothing else. And they've produced quality titles. Jedi Fallen Order is one of my favorite Star Wars titles ever.
Right.
We can talk ad nauseum about Spider-Man. It's good stuff.
And it almost makes sense as, okay, why are these guys able to make so much stuff at once? Well, maybe it's because they're being bankrolled by Disney at this point. Like, maybe Disney's like, hey, you guys do great work. Take your top talent, spread it out. Here's more people. Here's more money. Here's more resources. Work on 3 Star Wars games. Work on Spider-Man 2 and Miles Morales. Oh yeah, you can still work on that Ratchet and Clank game. Here's some more money for that. Also give us Wolverine. Like, that's got to be what's happening, right?
I forgot about Ratchet and Clank. Yes, it's insanity. Insomniac launches 2 AAA quality titles in the first 7 months of the PS5. They're working on these other 2. Respawn's doing this. They're supporting Apex Legends on top of it. A little bit sad that we're not getting that Titanfall 3.
One day. This makes it a little better though. This gives, this sets me up for success a little bit. I've always been bummed. Titanfall is awesome. Bring it back, but after this.
Titanfall is fantastic. So this is how I imagine a company like Respawn coming to me, the fan that they would never talk to, and be like, Josiah, we have some news. We're working on 3 games. None of them are Titanfall. And I would be like, what, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. They're all Star Wars games.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
It's fine. It's okay. I forgive you. I love you.
Here's the pre-order.
I would right now plunk down pre-order money without knowing anything more than we know today, and that's ridiculous. That's when you know you got somebody.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker.
We're dumb.
My name's Josiah.
It's okay.
But hey, it is what it is. So we talked about the sequel there. We talked about the strategy game that you and I really don't have an interest in, but we'll hear about it. Third, the FPS.
Yes.
What? There's so many directions they could go there. Like, holy crap! What are your thoughts right away?
So we've got something in the chat here. Tank Newton says Star Wars First Assault will be the FPS that comes back. I think that's a guess there. He thinks that was in development around the same time as 1313. I like it, but I would imagine it's going to be something completely new. I don't think that Respawn hops in and takes over a project that was a thing or recreates a game. I think this is a fresh take on a Star Wars first-person shooter from Respawn. When does it take place? I don't know. I mean, how do you make a first-person shooter work in Star Wars? I mean, I know that there's a lot of blasters and stuff like that, but not necessarily our main characters usually wielding those weapons. So you got to think clone troopers, you got to think stormtroopers, stuff like that. I would love something during the Clone War era. That'd be cool. I don't know.
That would be really cool. We haven't gotten much in the way of the prequel trilogy when it comes to the video games, minus some DLC for Battlefront 2. I've seen some people online disappointed, some YouTubers, that they're just assuming right now that, we're not getting Battlefront 3. I've got some questions there. Like, Battlefront 2, whatever you think of it, is a very complete, deep game now. Right now, at this point in time. It's got every era of Star Wars. I don't know really what more you could add to it without, with going into a third game. To me, that's a little difficult. Even if you're adding some of the sequel trilogy stuff. I think you got to wait for a few more movies to come out, in my opinion, before you make that relevant. Just my opinion. But if tomorrow EA was like, hey, we're doing Battlefront 3, I'd be excited.
Yeah.
So, past that, I think I would love to see a 1313 brought back from the dead. That concept was very intriguing to me. You know, maybe the dirtier side of things in the bounty hunter life in Coruscant, even though we're getting a little bit of a revision on the character that is Boba Fett in the Book of Boba Fett on Disney Plus. That would be interesting. I like your line of thinking with thinking something during the Clone Wars, and I like the idea of maybe something in between the 30 years between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, where maybe you're some sort of smuggler, not really sure what's going on in the galaxy. The power has shifted, much like we saw in The Mandalorian. Maybe that's something.
Right?
I know
That'd be awesome.
that's been an unfounded rumor. So take it for what it's worth at this point, that people have had some smoke on there being some sort of Mandalorian-based game. Maybe that's it. We'll see. It's popular property for Disney right now. So there's no shortage of directions you could go in saying that this is an FPS. But I'm excited to see what's next, whatever that looks like. So our question of the week, it only makes sense. We didn't talk about it earlier. We want you, the listener, to let us know at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, or twitch.tv/Geekiverse if you're tuning in right now. What do you want to see in Respawn's Star Wars FPS? Is it a character you want to see? Is it a new one, an existing one? What time frame is it in? What series of planets? You know, go crazy. Tell us what your ideal Respawn FPS is when it comes to Star Wars games. Love to talk about it in the chat. John, we got some Star Wars news before this today. We got Lego Star Wars, a game we've much talked about in social media and even just most anticipated games for this year. We finally got a release date for Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. It's coming out April 5th, 2022. Can't wait to get my hands on it. We saw about a 6-minute gameplay trailer with some narration and explanation from Traveler's Tales. What did you think of what you saw, John?
I thought it was awesome, man. I mean, obviously, I'm a big Star Wars fan. We do a Star Wars podcast called Star Wars Review that we're having a lot of fun with right now. I've never played more than a few minutes at max of a Lego game. It's just not something that really interests me. It's just the gameplay itself is just a little too vanilla for me when it comes to what I'm looking for. The stories are fun. I dig the Lego movies, like the Star Wars specials and stuff like that. I love that. I wish they did that like every year. Same thing with Halloween. Those are awesome.
Yeah.
But so it's just not something that's ever really moved the needle for me. But just watching the trailer for this one and that breakdown, it just seems like it's such a step up. It seems like this third person, drawn in camera, this more cinematic style. Sounds silly for a Lego property, right? But like it seems like this is just being handled with so much more care. It just looks way more intriguing to me. Like I said, it looks a lot more cinematic. It's super expansive. We're talking about all 9 Skywalker Saga films. I like that you hop in at the beginning of a trilogy, so you can't just boot up the game and pick episode 5 or something like that. You got to start a trilogy off. That's kind of cool. I like how they're kind of almost like 3 separate games, but all in one package. So this might be something I pick up. Like I said, haven't really diving into a Lego game before, but it's going to be on the Switch, so that might be my easy excuse to just pull the trigger and have something I can play on the go, just a little bit of a Lego game, and just kind of re-experience that Star Wars story.
Dude, I agree with all of that. Lego Star Wars, it was called the Complete Saga. Obviously not complete anymore, but it was 2007. It was episodes 1 through 6, came out on the 360 PS3 era, just about every other system. It was the first game I got the max gamer score in. So I got 1,000 points on my 360. Love those games, if for nothing else on the properties that they entertain, whether it's been Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, the Marvel series that they've had going on. Some of the games fall flat. They're just, Jurassic Park was boring for me. They're not exciting games in the fact, like you said, that the mechanics are anything challenging, because these are some of the best family games on the market. But you're right. They really revamped this formula for this game and really went all in on these movies. We got this announcement at E3 2019. I remember being so excited for it. So it's great to finally see it come out after 3 delays. But some of the things we saw in the trailer, like all the planets you can visit, they're side missions, so it doesn't necessarily even stick to the main story. That's really exciting to me. I believe there's 5 levels per movie. So you get episode 1, you get 5 levels, episode 2, so on and so forth. I think I know the answer to this question, John, but let's say you get that game day 1. What trilogy are you starting with?
Ooh, You can't know the answer because I don't know the answer. Man, what would I do? The thing is, I would buy that game, and I'm not sure that I would commit to a full playthrough. I'm not sure that I would, I'm sinking into this and I'm spending a good amount of time with it, and this is going to be something I main path and I get through. So I don't know that I would start with the original trilogy. I might go have some fun with the prequel trilogy, honestly. Like, I don't know. I might just mess around a little bit. I would probably start all three if I'm allowed to do that. I don't know. I would probably hop around best I could, but I don't know. I'd probably go with prequels for some reason. That's just a fun world, and I'll say that I've probably experienced the least amount of extra media when it comes to the prequels. Like, there's so much around. There's comics and stuff like that. There's so much around the original trilogy and even the sequel trilogy, comic books, like the story of Kylo Ren and all these other mediums that I've experienced these stories in. I feel like I haven't gotten a lot of that with the prequel stuff. So that might be where I would dive in.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a rare moment where I would have lost money on a bet saying what John would say. I would have said original trilogy, based on what we've done with release order and watching the movies and even Star Wars review that we're recording nowadays. In my head, I go back and forth. I don't think there's a wrong answer per se. Definitely not sequels trilogy, but I would go back and forth between prequels and original. And I think I might do prequels. Just to do 1 through 9. I don't know. I think that would be fun. You're talking about some of the media that's out there. It's mostly focused, especially in the Disney canon, on the original and sequel trilogy, right? Because that's the investment, and that's in their minds what's most important. So prior to Disney, almost, I would say, vast majority of media that came out in the form of books and comics was surrounded with the prequel trilogy. But that's just a matter of the time frame, right? Those were 1999 to 2005. George Lucas owned the company, so everything he did was based around those, including the Clone Wars.
I guess I didn't really, for some reason, consider the Clone Wars. I don't know why. It just feels like it's an entirely different property because it's just so tonally different than the prequels. But I guess that's like by definition, that's extra content in the prequels. It's right between 2 and 3, so definitely wrong about that.
It is. But don't forget, John, that Lucas did those before he sold the company, minus this last season that Disney picked up last year. So that's totally valid. It does feel separate. But man, I could talk about Star Wars all day. We know this. For me, that's a game I'm telling you right now. I'm going to 100% going after the platinum. Got the special edition pre-ordered on PS5 because I love the stupid little slipcover. Have you seen this, John?
No, I have not seen this.
Okay. So the original game case looks great because it's got like all the characters on it. It's got Rey with her yellow lightsaber, so on and so forth. This one, it's got the slipcover over it. It's Darth Vader, and then if you pull it off, his helmet comes off and it's Anakin Skywalker.
Oh no, that's so cool!
Right. And it comes with a steelbook. Love those.
Big fan.
It was only $10 more, and I pre-ordered that honestly a year and a half ago.
I want to say, what platform did you get it for?
PS5. Yep, I'm ready to go. I couldn't go wrong, but I think Switch would be really fun because that's a good game to. What isn't a good game to play on the go, but this one in particular because you can pick it up every so often.
I wonder what the performance differences is going to be. Hopefully it's just like frame rate and nothing too crazy visually. The games looked impressive. The trailers looked really, really good. And even when you go onto the eShop and you pull up like the videos and the screenshots on the eShop, it looks incredible, but I'm sure they're using the best possible versions of those screenshots. They're not using the Switch version for that, just my guess. So I might wait and see a little bit of a Digital Foundry breakdown on that kind of stuff before I pull the trigger on the Switch version because I don't want to play it if it's a mess.
That's a good point. This is a big game. I mean, it's not a huge graphical fidelity game, but at the same time, it's meaty.
It looks like a big upgrade over the previous Lego engine, though. Like I don't know. I watched that trailer and it looks a lot better. They got some good cell shading, some good volumetric fog. A couple of buzzwords for you.
Look at you.
It looks really good.
Well, I was gonna say that you could borrow the game, but alas, I am getting the physical copy and. Your PlayStation, man, it just doesn't take those.
It does not. It's not going to take it.
So I'm sorry, but it is what it is.
It's all right.
Cannot wait to play that game. And when it comes out, I'm going to have a lot to say about it. So stay tuned to the Geekiverse for that in a little over 2 months. So exciting. John, we also got news from another big developer this week. We've got a little bit of a tease for the next IP for Blizzard. Xbox exclusive, right?
Maybe. I guess we'll see. Who knows? Yeah, who knows? So Blizzard hit us today with just a little bit of a press release. Not much information, but I'll read from it just for some context. So, create a new universe with us. Blizzard is embarking on our next quest. We're going on a journey in a whole new universe, home to a brand new survival game for PC and console. Not consoles, just console. I guess we'll see. A place full of just saying, a place full of heroes that we have yet to meet, stories yet to be told, and adventures yet to be lived. A vast realm of possibility waiting to be explored. So this serves as an announcement, but it also serves as an advertisement for people to come work for the development studio, because the next line is, every story needs a teller and every world needs builders. What if that could be you? So they go on to talk about how they're hiring pretty heavily for this project right now. So all we know is it's a brand new survival game. There's some key art that's out there. It seems like it's some very early concept art, but it's exciting. It's a new, seemingly single player, or maybe at the very least probably narrative focused game from Blizzard. So I'm pumped about it.
Survival, you say? Sounds very Xbox.
Hey, right? I guess we'll see.
Yeah, very interesting. One of the biggest names in gaming to drop that today. Very exciting. Always good to get new IPs. Of course, we love our sequels, right? That's they're safe, they're fun, but to get the new IP is a little bit exciting for sure. So
it
good
is
stuff there.
What was that?
Go ahead.
This was just from their blog on Blizzard, if you're asking where it was from. But we got a great comment in chat here from Josh Gav. Good to see Josiah brought some extra AOL discs this week.
Come on, man.
Just stacking them in there.
I did my best.
It's good.
The dial-up is strong today, my friend.
I mean, hey, 5.0 working well.
So let's get to the final thing that we want to talk about. It's not really news, but it kind of is.
It's big news.
It's just personal. Big news. You're gonna find out the number of total hours I've played on PS5 this year.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen, PlayStation was sending out notifications this week on your 2021 wrap-up. If you go to wrap-up.playstation.com, you can enter your information and find out some very interesting stats about the games and trophies you collected over the last year. Kind of fun. A lot of services do this, whether it's Microsoft, Nintendo, but Sony did theirs. The first full year of the PS5 generation. John, do you have yours pulled up?
I do. I've got it. I've got it.
So I want to go kind of like comparison side by side here. Last year, you played for how many total hours?
41 hours on the PlayStation 4.
I was going to say, you're a freaking liar. Okay.
So they do break it down by console. Oh, they're not showing my Vita stats. Got plenty of Vita stats, man. I played so much on the Vita last year. So 41 hours on the PS4, but on the PS5, this seems low, but I'll go with it. 329 hours, totaling 370 for my PlayStation hours for the year. Seems low, but I guess we'll go with it.
370, huh?
Yeah, 370. What do you got here?
350.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Nothing on Vita.
Yeah, me either.
Let's see. 267 on PS5. 83 on PS4.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you plugged that bad boy in more than I did.
1 hour played online. That's kind of hysterical.
Interesting. I had 339 locally, and I had 31 hours played online, which is that also seems incredibly low for the amount of time I probably logged into Fortnite, because last year was the Marvel season for Fortnite, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody can, I don't know if it was 2021, right?
Well, yeah, I believe so. You play there across numerous systems, though.
Mostly on PlayStation, like 90% on PlayStation. When I sit down in front of my TV playing Fortnite, it's on PlayStation. The Switch is like few and far between. So there's something up with these numbers, something funky here, because I have dozens and dozens of hours. But I got the Battle Pass level 100 back-to-back times on Fortnite on seasons last year. I got the one that was the Marvel one and the one that had the Mandalorian. I made sure I maxed those out. So that's got to be like 100 plus hours of online play. So take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt.
All right. There's one or two things on here that I was like, I don't think that's accurate, but we'll see. 112 total days played for me. What do you got there? It breaks it down there.
Oh, okay. So different days. 112 you have? Yeah. I played on 195 different days.
Interesting. So you played shorter sessions, just a lot more of them.
Guess so.
Sounds like. All right. I like this so far. In 2021, you played how many games?
Still counting. It's going up. Okay. Just 11? 11 games? That's yes.
Eight for me.
Got it.
It seems wrong.
So
Again,
I can just debunk this whole thing right now because my number one game is Fortnite with 174 hours, and you can't play that game locally. So I'm sorry, PlayStation, you did something wrong here. How could I have only spent 31 hours played online, but you're also telling me my number one game is Fortnite with 174 hours?
Here's what you didn't know, John. You were playing the vast majority of those offline against bots and me.
Oh,
So
that's why I had so many wins.
It doesn't even make sense.
That's why I played so well last year.
Yeah, exactly. I was helping you. It's what I do. Yeah. So I know some of these are going to be wrong. Like it's like when you pause certain games and you come back to them the next day and you played 25 hours.
Right.
You're like, what? That doesn't even make sense. How about the games in terms? So
top five. Yeah.
So in terms of hours.
My number one is Fortnite with 174. Number two, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, 35 hours. Okay, that's fine.
Interesting.
I spent a good amount of time as a pick up and play a game of that. Which again, all multiplayer. So there's an extra 35 hours right there. Wait a minute, that might add up. 35 is what they said. For some reason, they're not counting Fortnite. There it is. 35 is what they said I played online last year, and that would have been the only other game I played online was Call of Duty. So for some reason, they didn't scoop my Fortnite numbers for that. Number three, Deathloop. I spent 25 hours in Deathloop. Number four, I spent 24 hours with Guardians of the Galaxy. And number five, I spent 21 hours with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
All right, this is about to get crazy. 82 hours for me, number one, for Immortals Phoenix Rising.
What?
Which you and I have like not talked about.
No.
I spent a long time in that game. I don't think it was 82 hours. I think it was closer to 50.
Okay.
But I went through in 100% it and platinum that game.
Got it.
Which it's not the biggest game in the world, but it takes some time. So maybe 82 is accurate, but in my head I would have said, hey, 50, 55.
Okay.
I don't know. It's all I played probably for a solid month or two. So anyway, number two, Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh no, I do remember you went back and played that again.
46 hours. That seems excessive as well, but who knows?
You got the platinum on that?
I did.
So you've done it twice now with Xbox and with PlayStation?
I've got the 1,000 gamer score on Xbox. I've got the platinum on PlayStation.
What a step down in a way to, say that you've completed the game. I've got the 1,000 gamer store. Come on, Xbox, figure it out. Make something fun. And you guys, PlayStation stole trophies from you. They did it first. Achievements were the OG. And
trophies were a joke at first.
Right.
And now it's not that way.
No, trophies are like the premier, tracking system of honestly, it's probably just based on name alone. Trophies just sound cool.
They do. Yeah, gamer score not so cool.
Right.
However, I did pass 100,000 this year, which is bonkers.
That's awesome.
So, number three, Wretched and Clank. All these games I platinumed. I platinumed this as well, 35 hours.
Huh, okay.
And this is not Rift Apart, by the way.
Oh, that's 2015 or whatever, 2016 Ratchet.
2016 Ratchet, yes.
Oh, okay.
Number four, Deathloop, 32 hours. Sounds about right.
Okay.
I took my time with that. And then number five, NHL 22, 24 hours.
Okay.
When that came out, we got a review copy. I was all about that game. I just wanted to sink as much time as possible. So that's only from like a week or two. So interesting. Rift Apart does not make the top five.
I can't believe Guardians didn't either. I know it's not the longest game in the world, but I would imagine you spent some time with it, kind of similar to Deathloop, but
it must have just missed.
Yeah.
I must have maybe closer to 20 hours. But yeah, I'm with you there.
This next section I don't want to go through. This is where we talked about how cool trophies are. This is just going to be embarrassing.
All right, you go first.
177 new trophies. That's it.
I'm only laughing because I'm looking at my number.
That's why I preface it this way, because I know you're going to crush me. You had a much stronger focus on trophies this year. So 177, I had 1 platinum, which would have been Life is Strange, probably.
Yep.
That makes sense. And then 10 gold, 14 silver, and 152 bronze.
John.
What'd you get?
418.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good year.
I had a really good year.
Yeah.
5 platinums. I'm just 20 gold, 81 silver, 312 bronze. I'm really happy with that year.
That's impressive, man.
if you're ever seeing this, man, I'm coming for you.
Yeah,
You're no longer going to be the Platinum King. I'm going to get you.
Where's your wrap up numbers, Rashawn? Let's see them.
Yeah, let's see it.
That's right. Good, man. I do want to focus more on trophies, but like I get to the point with games where I'm like, all right, I got enough out of this. It's just so rare for me to get caught up in a game where I want to go back and do everything in it.
Same. Here's my philosophy on trophies. I do not want to just trophy hunt for the sake of doing it. I've got to really like the game. I almost want to finish it to have a badge of honor. So I love being a Star Wars fan and saying that I platinum Jedi Fallen Order or Life is Strange recently. So, hey, that was my first platinum for 2022. Or even Ratchet and Clank. Like, I like that a lot. But if it's a game that I just wanted, like Resident Evil 7, I really enjoyed, but I want to get through the story, I'm not going back to play that. Like, no, that's crazy. One of the trophies is finish the game in 4 hours. It took me 12. Like, just stop it. Like that. Imagine how pissed I would be if I finish it in 4.5 hours. Like, no way. I think that's it for stats.
Yeah, I think that was most of the some global stats. Games. Yeah, most of that kind of stuff.
But kind of a fun thing to look back and compare with friends as we just did there. So we'd love to hear from you. Let us know on social media what you got. If you're anywhere close to John and I, or if you just trump us. Wow.
Speechless.
John, I think that I know. Crazy stuff. This has been another good episode of Busy Sticks. I think it's just about time for us to wrap up things. Super appreciate you guys at twitch.tv/the Geekiverse. We've got a busy week ahead. We've got some really awesome stuff to look forward to. So, John, where can people find you if they want to interact with you on social media? And what do we got to look forward to later on in the week if you missed the beginning of this episode?
Man, so I'm just about everywhere at Disruptoid. Find me there talking about all sorts of nonsense. Baseball right now because I'm sad about the Hall of Fame. Hockey because that's just perpetually depressing. Football because that's just perpetually depressing. But video games are fun, so I'll talk about those a lot there. So follow me for that. But what do we got going on, man? Friday, like we talked about top of the show. Friday, Greg Miller is coming to hang out with us. Greg is spending a whole day, and he's hopping on to different community member podcasts, and we were selected to be on that coveted list. So I'm pumped. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be streamed on the Kinda Funny Games Twitch channel, so twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. We will have that recorded and uploaded to our usual podcast services and youtube.com/thegeekiverse. But man, we're so excited. We sat down. We had to get together in person for this one. Joe and I had a beer, and we're like, you know what? Let's just plan out this episode. Let's get this structured. Let's have some fun. Like, what are we gonna do with Greg Miller for an hour? So, can't wait.
It's so crazy to me that later this week I'm gonna sit down at this station, open up Discord. It's not gonna just be John. It was great to see in general. I'm also gonna see Greg Miller. Like, what? Crazy. What a time it's going to be for us selfishly. We're just going to enjoy so much about it. We hope that is contagious to you, the listener. Thanks for joining this ride here on Busy Sticks. We love talking video games. We love interacting with the community here. We've got a lot going on. We're going to talk with Greg Miller later this week. If you like Star Wars, like we do, Star Wars and video games, we're talking a brand new series. We've got a few episodes underway, Star Wars Reviewed. We are going through the entire saga, not just the Skywalker saga, but also Solo and Rogue One. We're ranking the Star Wars movies. We're talking about them. We're talking about our first experience. We're watching the theatrical trailers. We're talking box office. We're yelling at JT for liking Harry Potter better than Star Wars. It's a great, great time. Get involved with it at thegeekiverse.com, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. As John mentioned, at youtube.com/thegeekiverse. The occasional twitch.tv/thegeekiverse. And also, there's one other thing we got to mention. If you should so choose to support us, if you have the means to do so, you can do so at patreon.com/thegeekiverse. There's numerous levels of support that you can donate there. And if you can't, that's fine. Even just telling a friend about what we're doing here is exciting for us. We appreciate your support. Wow. Support.
I like that
word. For John. I'm so excited for Friday.
Support
your boy. For John, for Josiah, thank you very much for tuning in. Can't wait to catch you this Friday night with Greg Miller. Have an awesome night.